I brought this little. So,
hello, Jackie. Can you hear us?
Yes. Well, Tammy, you're breaking up pretty badly.
Do the student key fobs work after hours? Well, ask my kids.
Tammy, I didn't catch any of that.
I key.
Test, 1, 2. I'm just clicking it out. That's it.
Are you stuck outside? Here it is.
Is he on the list?
It used to be the board members had a key fob to get in.
Oh, yeah.
We don't even have fobs anymore for long.
A card or whatever,
I
a
think
pass.
I'm sure it can be arranged. We sat outside for a little bit. I was gonna get it long, the wind was coming in, so.
Well, I think it has been brought up in the past, but
Get a good card and get the numbers.
I mean, they do give us the card.
It may not be one of the ones.
I don't know if you've done this for the new members or not.
I don't have anything. We don't have a card. Sarah and I are the best, no.
Like an identification card.
ID. Oh, can I wait for 10 pounds? I just wrote it again.
No, just wear your mask. You'll be all good. Actually, you should hold your crutch up and now.
It's not good.
We did those maps. I mean, work like the doors.
Yeah, we need to get new ones if that one's not activated like that. So I think
Yeah.
I already have those. Yeah, 2 of them. So why is it that our parents?
I don't know why.
Muted and stuff. Hey, we talked about it in our call. Change something. After 3 years, we'll start municipal things. Just wanted to remind you about that. And I sort of 6 weeks when we do off.
Yeah, well, that's it. We were,
The test, it's my eagle, it's the coach for Belsky.
okay.
It's easy.
Yeah, revisit track.
Yep, so I would definitely, like, here's the thing. You just head out.
We'll wait for Nancy.
5 weeks, that's it. So, because it's new. It's
What are
a,
your thoughts?
Craig is here.
I know, I'm trying to figure out why we hear
Okay.
one thing.
yes, like, cut it out in this country. And you know that, Hunter and your son got along. Hunter's like,
I thought you said earlier Craig wasn't gonna be here though.
That's awesome.
So
Not here.
I would,
Oh, no, I know that.
Yeah, right.
it's fine. It's co-ed.
That's good.
So if he's got any friends, girls or boys who are interested.
Okay. And, where do I get a little more information or sign up?
I will reach out to Coach Wendell and ask.
My phone, it's in the business.
I'll ask and I'll start to put it in the announcements. I think that would probably be better for all the parents to know.
Probably.
Yeah, so I'll.
What grade are your kids in? What grade are your kids in?
My kids, I have a first grader, third grader, and seventh grader.
First, third, and seventh.
Mine.
So are they at Purdy or anything?
So my youngest two are at Lakeview. They go where I go.
Oh,
And then Hunter's here at Pennfield. The
okay.
girls will switch over. Jerry, can you possibly next year my daycare will be hiring. Can you hear?
Okay.
All right, hang on.
Hello, everybody.
Flying boat.
Abby's leaving.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, Craig.
Any better, Jerry? Anyone?
I could hear you, Jeff.
Yep, I can hear you now.
I can hear you, Jeff.
Look at that cute baby.
Oh, the strawberry guy.
Well, right now, we cannot speak them. And they don't, it's not here.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when we didn't, I just my flood.
That would be great.
All right. Can you hear us now?
Jerry, you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yep, I hear you.
We can't.
It sounds much better.
Why is that?
I didn't bring my eyes either, so it's like expanded.
You guys have drawing pictures or
All
something?
right, we're gonna go out of the cloud, come back in when that fixes it. We'll be right back.
I'm wondering if the problem may be they have so many microphones on in that room.
All right, can you hear us now?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Yes.
I still can't hear you. I can't see
Jerry says, you can hear us, but we cannot hear Jerry.
speakers. See that? Oh, that's on.
Jerry or Trevor or do anybody that's, can you guys get to the website? I can't get to our website either, so I
Now
want
we
to
can
get
hear
in
my
there.
boy. I thought it was- Oh, there.
Our district website.
Yeah.
I'm on.
I got on it.
For some reason the ceiling one isn't coming on. Display. Boy, everything's in there. Oh. I'm in line talk.
Abby, talk to us.
Okay, here I am.
Nothing.
Can you hear me?
I hear
I'm
you.
talking.
We can hear you. I don't think they can.
I have to just have it coming out of my computer until I can figure out why. That's on. Volume up. All right, someone talk now.
How about now? Can you hear us?
How we're changing it over. Always gotta be something.
Could we do this in closed captioning?
It is reading.
All right,
Mom.
I'm right
Go back
here.
and start reading.
We're all talking.
This is good for me. We lost power. I'm running to Bigby parking lot, so keep stalling, people.
You hear that? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's not as good as up there, but it's better than mouth reading at this point. There's something not right.
Imply continuing our hospitals. Then families.
All right, we can hear you now, kind of, sort of, got it coming out of the computer. For some reason, we can't get the ceiling ones to work, or ceiling speakers to work.
Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, we can hear you. Not as good as I want it to be, but.
Roll over that right now. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, welcome everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. 6:34, March 15th, 2021. To start this meeting off, I would ask for a moment of silence. We lost a great Brie Larson and a well-known Pennfield member, longtime athletic director. So our hearts go out to his wife Joan and his sons Chris and Cam. Thank you, everyone. This time, if everyone would like to join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Sarah, would you take roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Don Fortin. Here. Abby Green.
Here.
Sarah Jones here. Craig Corpola.
Here.
Dana Wells Jenny. Here. Jeff Wolfersberger.
Here.
Tim Wood.
Here. Thanks, Sarah. I'd like to remind everyone of the norms of collaboration. 1.05 addenda. Does anyone have anything to add to tonight's meeting?
Last meeting, we talked about discussing and possibly voting on board members to be included in the bond committees. I didn't see that on here.
Bond advisory committee?
It will be covered under that.
5.02. Okay. Yes, sir.
Here. Sarah Jones here.
Anyone have anything else? All right, thank you very much. 2.01, comments from the public. And you said we had.
We had one person, Cam Warsop. I do not see her on the screen at this time, so I guess we can check back and see.
Did you have her on or? Did we have her on at one point? No.
She's been sent the information. Maybe she'll come on for the end.
We'll have an opportunity at the end. Thank you. Consent agenda. 3.01, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Is there anything on here that anyone would like to discuss further?
3.01. We can discuss further, please.
Motion for 3.01 to be pulled for discussion.
A motion that we pull 3.01 for discussion, please.
I'll second.
Anyone with any objections on pulling 3.01 into discussion? Sarah, if you go ahead for the vote.
Okay, Abby Green,
Here, yes.
Sarah Jones, yes. Craig Corpola,
Aye.
Dana Wells Jenny,
Yes.
Jeff Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Tim Wood,
Yes.
Dawn Fortin.
Yes.
3.01 will be moved to 5.07.
I make a motion to accept the consent agenda as amended.
Second
I'll
that.
second that.
Anyone else have anything else? 3.02 through 3.08. Sarah, you go ahead with a vote to approve the consent agenda then.
Okay, I'll start. Sarah Jones, yes. Craig Corpola,
Aye.
Dana Wells Jenny,
Yes.
Jeff Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Tim Wood,
Yes.
Dawn Fortin,
Yes.
Abby Green.
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved. 4.01, items removed from the consent agenda would be procedure. Moving on to presentations and discussions. 5.01, our ECO update. Have any brought Gary with us tonight?
Yeah, as we do with each month, we have Mr. Mueller here to present on the EPO.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for giving me a couple moments here to share our monthly report. I am going to share my screen with you, and I will not be able to see you, so please feel free to chime in. Our monthly report this year this month will look a little different because of the fact that we are now tracking interactions both virtual as well as in person. So our method of delivery remains the same as from the previous 2 months. We have a combination with most folks in person, though virtually our middle school and high school is labeled as virtual, so you'll see the numbers reflect that in just a moment. As of March 10th, there were no comments on our public site as far as the return to learn page is concerned. That is checked periodically to see if there is input from our community, and it is always available. It has not been taken down since we put it up early in, I believe, November. Our two-way interaction rates were very good. Very impressed with the work the principals have done to get kids at school and to make sure that staff are making connections. This report goes from February 3rd to March 2nd. And if you can take a moment and take a look at that, you'll notice that each week is divided into 2 sections. The top section being our virtual or our blended students who all receive two-way or interactions, either in 1 or 2 per week. And then we also are monitoring our daily attendance with those students that are in person. And you can see that all of them are above 90%. The goal for two-way interactions with virtual students set by the state of Michigan is 75%. That's well below our acceptable rate. But when we're between 92 and 97%, it's a pretty impressive week, or a pretty impressive month, excuse me. So congratulations to the buildings, the work of the principals and the staff that are making these contacts. And this is our initial, our reconfirmation of our plan and the results that we're seeing with two-way interaction. If there's any questions, I stand ready to help you out with that.
I have a question.
Dawn?
So these numbers on this presentation, are they K through 12?
They are. These are the K through 12 numbers combined as a district. So this is intended to be a district level report. And the total student counts are given at the top of each line, but you have to combine those two. So if you look at week 1, it says 1,312 attended virtually, 688 were in person, and together that's almost 2,000. Now don't equate FTE, which is what Trevor talks about when he talks about student count, with the number of students that we interact with, because it's two different things.
Okay.
Was that okay, Dawn? Was that what you were looking for?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you, Jerry.
No worries. Any other questions?
Doesn't look like any other questions. Jerry, I just want to thank you for putting the numbers in there as requested. The actual student numbers instead of just the percentages. That helps a lot. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think it's easier for me to track if I get both numbers too. So some of that is self-survival.
I didn't see any questions. I think you're good to go, Jerry. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jerry.
Moving on, 5.02 Bond Advisory Committee. It was asked to add this to the agenda in last week's committee of the whole on whether or not board members can attend our new structured bond committee, especially the advisory committee. As stated last week, we have done our due diligence, double checked. Again, at no point in time can we exclude anyone from any of these meetings. Anyone, board member or not, is welcome to attend. As a reminder, we are going as community members when we attend these meetings. We're not there as board members. So those that ask to be on the committees, you are more than welcome to attend. I would actually encourage, we're going to have some, what's the name of the community hour-long
Forum.
The board.
community forums. I would actually encourage some to attend, especially those to be able to work with our bond committee. And I'm going to assume Kevin would probably be there on those nights also. The only thing we ask due to Open Meetings Act, that if you are going to attend these meetings, can you please send an email to Jackie and Kevin to make sure we only have 3 or less. That's the only thing we need to watch. So with that being said, does anyone have anything else?
I do have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
So like, we do a pretty good job putting the link for these meetings, etc. And is there any way that we can add this to like the homepage of the landing page, so people know that there is a bond meeting and maybe they wanted to be a part of it as a community member that aren't currently involved?
All you have to do is give it to me and we post it.
So Kevin, is that something that Jackie can do? Not to put more on Jackie's plate, but I think that would be, I think when it comes to transparency and communication and openness, by putting a link out there for people to see, and then there's not people to think that things are going on behind, they feel like they're being heard.
I think the link itself, and I'm going to ask Jackie to chime in. I think the link itself, if it's open where anyone can attend, then it's not like you're actually getting someone who's attending who wants to be on the committee, like a student can come on board, a person who's not from the community will come on board.
So I can see right here, it says next meeting, this happens to be this Thursday, it says virtual. Is it something that like somebody can email Jackie and say, could you send me a link?
Yes.
Is that something that you do? Yeah. We don't have Bob Schmo from Caledonia, who what's to log in, yeah.
That's the process we've used,
Okay,
but I think the only difference is you're saying that it's not on the website.
yeah, I don't see it, I consider myself a pretty aficionado of our website, and I haven't been able to find any postings, and maybe I'm just missing it.
It's not on the district calendar either, because I thought maybe we could add it to that.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I did have.
So what you're saying is if somebody in the community wants to attend this, they have to email administration for a link?
No, there's an actual form. Jackie, can you explain the setup that we have for community members who want to attend the meeting?
Yeah, so we did send out through the alert system a survey for people to fill out so they could send all the information so they get the agendas and everything beforehand. It was posted on our Facebook page as well.
Right, but that's secluding many of our voters and many of our community members.
You mean the ones that?
And that's kind of what I've had a problem with even in the past.
Can you explain further?
Well,
I never received anything like that because I don't have a student attending.
No,
Kevin, there also will be community forums that will be posted shortly that are not part of this committee.
So, Jackie, could the committee form get posted onto the website as an option?
Yeah, I can send that to Tammy. Yep, absolutely.
So the actual form, Jackie, that is out there for members to fill out to say, I want to come to the meeting, that's on the district Facebook page?
It is, yes.
Okay. So
I can boost that post again.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I think adding it to the district website is what was also requested, if I heard it correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure, we may be able to pick up new members.
Yep, I will.
Abby, do you have a question?
For that.
Yeah, I did. I can wait.
Go ahead, Abby.
Okay, thank you. I had a question about the community forums. Last time around, we kind of scheduled board members to make sure there was at least one board member every one, if not two. And I think that might be a good idea. If I knew what other board members were going to, if there was one that didn't have anybody assigned, I might try to make sure I got there. So I wondered if we could all kind of coordinate a little and make sure that we're represented at those community forums.
I think that's a great idea. Is that something we can set up in like a Google Doc?
First thing I think of, Jackie, Google Docs, can we do like a little sign up?
Yep, I will create one.
4 days.
Yep, I can create it.
Thank you.
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you as always, Jackie.
What's our plan to reach our community outside of our website for the forum?
We usually post it to where we send it out to the radio station, we send it out newspaper, shopper.
Is there any way we could put it on the
marquee?
Thank you.
Or even, can we get the township to do it on their new marquee?
Yeah.
That would be a great idea too.
And also the shopper. It would be nice to have an article.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Abby. Kevin just mentioned the shopper also.
Yeah, I was trying not to yell in my mouth. Yeah.
So we'll try to get with the township. If for whatever reason, not the township, there's another business right up the road.
Yes.
Interested in putting something out there to get his men. So I believe there's 4 dates. Jackie will help us out. We'll set up a Google Docs. You guys jump in there and sign up for whatever dates as far as the community forum.
Yep.
Sign up for whatever dates you guys want to do, and just make sure that it's, no more than 3.
Perfect.
I do think it should be said that the bond committees have been working very diligently. We're joining the committees after the fact. There's been a lot of work going on. Even though we take off our board hat, put on our community member hat, we're still looked at as board members. So I would just say, tread lightly and have a lot of respect for the, just to assimilate in. And even if we're just, like I said, coming in as community members, people are going to see us as board members. So there's already a power structure in place. There's already a chain of command. Just be respectful of that.
To not get into too much of elaboration.
Right.
The board has hired King Scott, David Martin. They've done several summer bonds. They've done several, they know what they're doing. And the board has hired them, so.
Yeah.
They're off and running and doing a pretty good job. So this basically eliminates the discussion of there's no one excluded from bond meetings.
Sounds good.
Anyone have anything else? All right.
Kevin, I did have my hand. I did have my hand raised, Jeff. I was just curious, Kevin, if when you've been going out and meeting with the community in the last 6 to 8 months, have you been talking at all with any of your contacts at the Lions Club or any other groups about the fact that we're exploring the bond proposal?
Yes, but that conversation is more with, we haven't met in person since the whole COVID situation. There was a meeting out at the park. It's been mostly executive, the executive board that has been meeting. And they're now having discussions about moving the meetings back to the Coney Island restaurant, but they're still being very cautious about meeting all there at the same time. So I have not had any follow-up conversations since we started last November, when it first started going into that conversation. So yes, that we have not extended that conversation since.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Craig. Anyone have anything else? All right, we will move on. 5.03. This will be the second read of our policies. Last week being the first read. They are all attached. Once again, Jackie has highlighted the changes, which I think we have determined that every single change is by law. And Neola recommended. The question set up, I think there's a few questions that I think one individual has asked. I think they have been answered. So, anyone have anything else on the proposed policies? All right, this will officially be considered the second reading. Moving on, 5.04, hair scrubs. Kevin, looks like you brought Julie to join us tonight.
Yes, we did do a PowerPoint that we shared, but Julie is here to answer a number of those questions to kind of clarify what was asked at the previous meeting. That goes beyond the actual PowerPoint that was shared. Julie, do you have anything you want to share before opening for questions?
No, other than, has everybody seen the email that you put together, that PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, if everybody has seen that, and if there are any questions regarding that, because what's on that PowerPoint is basically we took the CDC recommendations and we even showed you things that aren't recommended specifically on the CDC that we've gone above and beyond all the way down to the classroom level. So if you've read that, or I'm sorry, if you've seen that presentation and you 99% of what we're doing at the classroom level as far as keeping everyone safe.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you referring to the information that was on board docs last month or something different?
Kevin, I don't know.
I think it was on the committee of the whole doc.
It would have been originally discussed last month. It was the proposal and the
Or was that
rental
an
fee.
email?
It had the purchase fee. We got a
Okay.
discussion of the assumption, I guess, of installation costs. I think that's where it got led a little wrong, misunderstood. There is no installation fees. Nothing on these units would be piped out of the building. They're basically air purifiers that we would set in the rooms. You're just gonna recirculate the air.
Okay. And that met CDC guidelines, you said?
That is the next, the CDC has them rated for zero cost, minimal cost, medium cost, and then great cost. And this one is the first item that falls under the medium cost. We've done everything up to this point, and I think that's why we're going to coming to the board because of the costs. This is the next level of protection that we have not gone.
So one of the questions last month was about the noise in the classroom and how much space it would take up. Was that addressed?
That was one of the clips that was in the actual video where Dewey turned up the strength of the ventilator and said that it's, you could kind of get an idea of how loud it is in the classroom. But during class, it would then turn down, but the circulation is still turned. And you mentioned the space that it would take up. That was another thing we showed out in front of the classroom. But it can also be placed behind the desk or behind the teacher's desk or over next to the window. It's that small of a unit. It's just long as there's somewhere for it to plug in.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So Dewey, the one question I have for you is what would be the difference between these and the ones that I proposed that we were told that we couldn't have, the wall mounted air purifiers? Is there any difference then?
Wall mounted, I guess I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. You mean like permanently mounted, like the big,
Correct.
Air
You not get that.
Those are the ones that when we were talking to Todd and David in the last fall, when I say last fall, last November, December, about can we get these units put into each classroom? Oh, you know what, Dewey? I don't think Dewey was there when we was talking to David.
No, are we talking about classroom unit ventilators, the brand new vertical classroom unit ventilators?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, those are the ones that are, you're talking about the 6 foot tall, like 3 foot by 3 foot, 6, 7 foot tall units?
No, they're like 4 foot long, horizontal. They mount on the wall and plug in the wall. But it's a HEPA filter unit.
No, I guess I'm unfamiliar with that. I'm sorry.
Just plug a heater on the wall. 2 screws mounted against the wall, plug it in the wall, said, done. For the same price, this is more of a permanent situation rather than this literally the same price we're going to purchase and or rent temporary units.
Yeah, I can share with you that Dewey wasn't in that meeting when we met with Todd today. Because that was, as soon as we got that piece, I took it down and had that conversation with Todd, especially because that would have been a conversation, how quickly can we pay for it and get it installed? So, yeah, Dewey was not part of that conversation.
Okay.
Dewey, you weren't in the meeting with Todd and I and David talking about those units, were you?
No, not that horizontal one that you're speaking of. No, my only
Yeah.
questions would be the type of filtration and how often and how much, and also if they just sit on if we mount them on the wall, then they're mounted there. Whereas these are scrubbers. They're literally called portable scrubbers. They have a handle built right into them. You can put them anywhere you want in the room.
Understand. I'm just trying to compare, and I was under the assumption that those quote-unquote HEPA filter units we could not have in the classroom. So now we're more calling them these units HEPA filter units instead of air scrubbers. So I'm just trying to figure out why, for whatever reason, we couldn't have something that would essentially work for our classrooms for years down the road, allergy season, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense. And I think the word scrubber, purifier, and HEPA are pretty synonymous in what we're using here, as far as cleaning, I guess, or ridding all the bacteria and things that are in the air. So I know we get confused, but all those mean the same thing in this conversation. Scrubbers, purifiers, and the HEPA filters. They're all just different ways of saying the same thing.
The RFP that we put out was for the element, that unit, but that was not one that included that type of unit. And we didn't include that type of unit because Todd and David, they had said, yeah, that's not going to be one that is equivalent to this type of unit. So that was a conversation that Dewey wasn't included in at the time. So, yeah, as I sit here thinking about it, Dewey was not in that conversation at the time because we tried to move it along and then come back with an actual RFP.
Are we still using the sprayers that were purchased in the rooms?
Yes. And
every single day. As a matter of fact, we're buying the liquid that goes inside it in 50-gallon drums. So, and we're going through that pretty quick. So we are spraying every day, everywhere.
So would these filters help prevent the amount of time we have to spray them with the liquid?
No, we would still be spraying.
No, I don't think so. I think one's more for surface and the other is more for airborne contaminants.
So Dewey, if I may, see if I can kind of end on to what we were trying to share out, is that there are different levels of the CDC saying that, hey, you got these pieces in place, and then these pieces, and then another. We're now at that level of talking about this unit in the classroom that circulates the air. But because of everything that we've done up to that point, the CDC says these are, what do we call them, no cost? Was it called no cost, Dewey?
Yeah, exactly.
So the no cost items that we've done. So the board is now looking at this unit to say, do we, the bids that came in, one said you can rent the same one we saw on the PowerPoint. You can rent that for the remainder of the year, or you can purchase that one for the remainder of the year. Or do we not purchase, which one of the members mentioned at the last meeting, said, or we not purchase it, and then we're looking at going into the next school year. I guess because we're talking about so many units, the board's been asked, do we purchase these and then we have them? We are looking forward to trying to move forward on bond. 2 years down the road, at the soonest, if a bond passes, it's still going to be 2 years out. So the question is, do we purchase these units and then have them? Or do we rent them? And at the renting, I believe Angina shared is at the same cost of buying. Angina, did we say the cost of renting was almost the same as buying? So close?
I don't remember exactly. Dewey's shaking his head yes, so that could be. I know one of them did put in a proposal for renting them versus buying them. I think it was because they gave us was it a monthly cost, Dewey? So depending on how long that we had them and used them.
Yeah, I think it equated to like a half a year, like 26 weeks, I think, after like the 27th week, and please don't quote me, but it was like after the 27th week, it would be to our advantage to buy them.
What's the useful life of these, Dewey? Are they like 2 or 3 years and they're going to be worn out anyway?
No, not these. These are pretty industrial. I think what we could do is we could keep a few. I thought that was a great idea because when there's super high pollen, we can put these, randomly if we have some students that are really bad with the pollen and things like that. Also, there's probably a small market out there. I mean, the people who use these a lot are restoration companies. Like if you had a flood and you're trying to dry out, then you would hook duct to it and help blow that air out. Also, it gets a lot of the airborne bacteria and things like that out of the air. So disaster restoration teams would probably be a market that we could, eBay them or get rid of them. Keeping a few, I thought, would be a great idea.
So in our situation here at Pennfield, if we've had a student that tested positive, have we had contact crossing happen where then somebody else in that class or that lunchroom or office also got tested positive for COVID?
Are you asking about how we go about contact tracing?
No. Have we been able to control contact crossing with what we have in place at this time?
Have we had a CDC quote unquote spread?
Outbreak.
Which is outbreak, thank you.
Outbreak.
Which is 2 from the same source. 2 positive cases from the same source.
I would say that we haven't made the list, but I would ask Jackie. Jackie, have we had a situation where we've had the same positive person?
Yes.
To where later we did have.
Yes, we've had several.
We've had several.
We've had several. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I would think that we would get updated on that when that happens.
You talking about when I send out text messages saying that we have positive cases, but include.
You would say we had a positive case and that person's been, but I haven't seen anything where it says, we've had 4 people in this situation test positive for COVID.
I'm in the same classroom or with the same positive person that affected the others.
Like I would think we would have been like either there were 4 people or we got a text and then the next day we got a text and the next day we got a text.
We just want to know, are we spread?
Yeah.
Is our whole spread?
Yeah.
That's real.
And we wouldn't get back-to-back text messages because if a student or the adult was positive in that class, the elementary class, and the class is now quarantined, and then 4 or 5 days later, that student's parent took them to go get them tested, and then they call back and tell Jackie, the health department, that was a positive student, then Jackie looks and she can see, well, that's a student out of this classroom. And then she would tell me we have another elementary student, and I would send a text message saying we have another elementary student. What you're asking is if there's the same kid out of the same classroom or the adult from that same classroom.
Or school bus or.
School bus.
The school bus incident that happened last week, I never got a message from coming anywhere from, until I got it from Stephanie, that 8th grade was gonna be at, virtual all this week. So I didn't get one from you saying, hey, because of that, we now have to cut, we're shutting down all 8th grade. I think that's where Dawn's coming from. Like, did you know all the 8th grade?
I mean, we're talking about air scrubbers. We need to know, have we been able to control this? I mean, I don't know if you can put an air scrubber on the bus,
Right.
but it'd be great maybe if you could. It's probably needed more than it is in the classroom, actually, because you got a mix of kids, but I'm just saying, like, if we're controlling this to this point, we've been in school hybrid even, so if we're controlling our spread, our responsibility as a school, then, I mean, it's something to consider when we decide whether or not it's a
Yeah.
value.
So we're just lowering the risk. We're not really controlling. This is just lowering the risk. So we put elements in place that has tried to lower risk. And this air scrubber would just be another piece we're putting in place to try to lower the risk. So it's just another element. But as far as the question you were asking was, if the board can be notified when there's one case and then it happens to be another case because of this student or this adult contact because the same classroom or the same kid got sick, it happened to be on that same bus. I'm trying to paraphrase. That kind of.
No, I'm not, that's not what I'm asking. I'm just like, I feel like from the text we received as a board, it seems like we've done really well. And a lot of the texts that we have received are not in-person students. Although we have had some that are in person and you guys handled it. And I think we've done a great job. You guys have done wonderful. Everyone involved, even down to the students wearing their masks. So I'm just saying, like, it seems to be very, I think we're helping to stop the spread, you know? And we have the fans, so I think if we had fans and air scrubbers running in the classroom, it might be kind of a distraction, in my opinion. That's just.
Abby Green?
I understand what Dawn's saying about the noise distraction, and but I think that if one of the biggest inputs I've gotten from some parents who are still virtual is the air quality. So I know that one of the reasons that we're doing as well as we are is because not all the students are in the classroom yet. So looking forward to next fall and not knowing what is going to be going on, I think there are some parents that will appreciate the air scrubber. I don't know if it's enough to make, the cost worth it, but that is one of the concerns that has been expressed by the community.
We've talked about this for 2 months. Is this our best portable bet for helping our air quality without a full-blown HVAC unit? Is this our best bet?
Yeah, in doing my searches for these portable, inexpensive air scrubbers, this one keeps popping up. It's one we kind of, I don't want to say flat spec'd, but it's the one everybody quoted on. Seems to be the Chevrolet model, I guess, if you will, of these portable air scrubbers. It's not super expensive. It's very easy to change filters with. They stack. I hadn't seen anything else that made me stop and want to research another one. They're all going to do the same thing. They all have a fan. They all have an inlet, an outlet, a pre-filter, a regular filter, and then the big HEPA filter. So, I mean, they're all doing the same. I don't think one will do one better than the other. They're all, and we can put in different levels of filtration. If the CDC now recommends a MERV 18 filter versus the MERV 14 that I think we have in ours. So it's flexible in the fact that it still has room for whatever kind of filter you want. So I don't know. It just seems like I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Got a little lag here. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to talk over you.
No.
Are you still recommending this for K through 8 because would you want them for the high school, or are you considering the high school good because it has a traditional HVAC air circulation? To
be honest, with the more mild temperatures outside, I can probably bring in even more air than we advertised before. I can bring outside air is what I'm saying, fresh air. I have that ability there. In the dead of winter, it's hard to bring in 10-degree air and trying to warm it up. I have they're called freeze stats. They actually shut the unit down. And they will. But with the milder winter, with the mild weather coming up, I think we can even pump more fresh air in there. So for the remainder, back until we get into winter again, I don't think we need the scrubbers at the high school.
I have a question, Dewey. What's the lead time to, if we decided to go ahead and purchase this, what kind of lead time is there?
The lead time on these portable scrubbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they said they had a few thousand of them in stock in California. So I think it's just we're a purchase order away from getting them. I don't think there's a lead time on those at all.
Okay. The reason I ask is we've got like 9.5 weeks left of school. We've got, as of April 5th, 16 and older can be vaccinated. I just don't know if it, in my mind, I know that there are virtual students that are waiting for next year for the unknown. Is it something that actually would make a smarter sense to see where we are, if we can get the natural air? I mean, I don't want to, poo-poo and say it's not important, but should we be spending this kind of money if we've got 9 weeks of school, the temperatures are going to be warming up, we can get more air going through, take another look at this if it's such a short lead time. If we need to get them for the fall, I mean, is that something that, am I the only one that thinks it's, it's just an idea I wanted to develop.
No, I think Don, I'm sorry, I think that's, Dana, that's a very, a good consideration, because we can open up many more windows now that we've got, milder weather coming. So the windows will be opened up more. So, I think that's a valid point.
Okay, I just wanted to,
Dewey, I got a couple questions for you. We're mainly talking about putting these in the older buildings that have boiler systems versus the forced air. They also have older electrical. Are we going to be able to power these things in mass?
Yeah, I think I looked, and their amp draw isn't great. Putting these in the older buildings, if we're talking about the scrubber still, I think is not going to be a problem. Literally, they just plug in the wall, and the boiler systems. We do have forced air. Actually, all the classroom unit ventilators are forced air. We bring in fresh air through there. Just like that little video clip that you guys looked at. It does bring in fresh air, and it does circulate the air, and it grabs return air. So, yeah, as far as electrical considerations, I don't think that would be a consideration to not get these or be worried about getting these.
Okay. What about filter changes? How long are the filters going to last?
Yeah, that I don't know. I honestly don't know. I don't know. We'd have to run them through. I didn't see any an hour's worth, or CFM, cubic feet per minute, through how many total CFM goes through on before you have to have a filter change. I don't know that one. I know those HEPA filters, the ones that we're talking about with the MERF 14, man, I think they're about $10 a piece. So each one will have to have it replaced. It's going to be $10 for the high end expensive one. The pre-filters probably are $2 a piece.
Right. It just, anything in bulk. I mean, if we got to replace them every 36 hours versus one a month per classroom, it right. Could be, right? So, and then I wasn't sure on the PowerPoint. I like the way you talk about the action fans in there. I mean, to get air to circulate through a room. Are those action fans included in that price with the plexiglass, or are those just other considerations?
Everything we've done that you see in the videos, we've done. Everybody has the plexiglass. Everybody has in the elementaries, they both have in all but the very small classrooms have 2 fans that we put up high, and the fans, they oscillate, but they also don't. So we can get them so they don't oscillate, and you can create that laminar flow that I think the CDC was alluding to as advantageous rather than stagnant air or stratified air.
And then Unless I missed it, what is the actual decibel rating on these? The dog. Sarah, do you have one of these in your room?
No.
What do you think is a feature?
I mean, it's important to have good air and you've got a lot of germs in your room.
The noise, the distraction, I mean, what do you think as a teacher? Give us a teacher point of view. Well, and before you answer that, let me throw in. So these are 600 CFM. That is, how many guests? Twice the CFM of a regular, over your stove, that vent fan. That's probably about twice the average, just guessing, per sound. Unless he's have something separate in it. Because that's what Jeff is asking. So just to put it in real terms, that's, if you had a vent fan over your stove running in your classroom, would that be a distraction?
So I mean, it's just like running any fan, it's gonna become the background noise and it is what you adjust every volume in your classroom to over. Yeah, exactly. Right. Uh-huh.
Is there an actual decibel rating on these? Something you could put in layman terms that says, hey, it's as loud as, your average TV, or
Would you compare it to the yellow blowers as you walk into Walmart in the wintertime?
Yeah, I looked for the sound, the sones, and it didn't have them on because these are kind of industrial, so they're stuck in a room that probably is being dried or things like that. So they didn't have that information. But when you turn it on 600 CFM, it's pretty loud. Luckily, it has a rheostat, so you can adjust it infinitely to where all right, that's quiet enough. But you definitely, when you walk into a room, you'll hear it. You'll hear it running. It probably will become white noise after, a few minutes. And I doubt any teachers will have them running high while they're teaching specifically. That's why when in that little video, we thought that maybe they would want to run them high during the lunchtime and during their planning period and things when you don't have, or when you're not teaching.
Yeah, just something to think about. As you tone them down so they're quieter, they're filtering less air.
Right.
So you don't get to 600 CFM without the 600 CFM noise. So just some, and then probably to you, Kevin.
Yeah.
The money for this would come out of our general fund and then be replaced from the CARES.
Yeah, it is.
And
You ready to raise your hand?
Are you asking me where the money's coming from?
I think we lost him.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Dewey. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I hear you, Dewey.
I believe they lost us.
Oh. Can you hear me now? No, I sound like the guy from Sprint.
They'll be back in a minute.
Maybe we should put more money in technology in the bond. Yeah, no, I can't hear.
They look like they've frozen. Not just lost our voices.
Oh, there they go.
There we
Well,
go.
What'd I say? Huh?
We're still live though.
Sure, they'll pop right back up. Was he asking me? He wasn't asking me about where the costs come from, was he?
No.
Okay.
Rhetorical.
Well, I think I had a jogger running by as while my dogs were barking, if anybody cared.
So did you let the dogs out to go chase them?
No, they have a little.
He had to.
Yeah, they do. I can see them. The guys running really, really fast, though. No, I've got a yard back there that they go in.
You have a treed jogger out there.
Yeah. What was that?
Said he treed a jogger.
Yeah, he did. Well, that's funny because he is a treeing walker coonhound, so that's funny.
He had a beautiful howl. I wouldn't want to hear it every day, but beautiful.
For sure.
Hi, are you guys back?
They're muted right now.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Sorry, we lost our computer. Battery went kaboom.
It's a brand new laptop.
So we're just discussing what you think, these are gonna cost us to run. I think you touched on that before. Do you recall, I mean, $1 per a day? Are we talking $5 a day? What do you realistically think?
As far as electrical consumption, or are you including the cost of the filters?
Electrical consumption.
Electrical? No, they're pretty minimal requirements there. Like I say, it's just a regular 110, and you can plug it into a regular 20 amp circuit. So, it certainly wouldn't be like a vacuum cleaner. I don't know, 5-6 amps. Nothing, like, 10 cents per a day.
And a fan or something like that?
Yeah, pretty cheap. Relative to what it's doing, it's inconsequential to what it's doing.
Well, maybe I can add that to my question. So the money would come out of our general fund if we get reimbursed, and if so, could we also add the increase in electrical cost to that?
Yes, because these are being purchased with COVID funds.
Directly. We don't have to wait on.
No, because it's the same thing that we did with the custodial staff. And based on how we were talking about the funds were used before, this would be purchased directly.
Oh, I thought at the last meeting they said we'd have to pay with it from the general fund to get reimbursed.
It was until the cost.
Oh, good.
Increase operating, we put that on fund too. If we can average our electric from this time last year, look at our electric after we run these, can we claim that difference?
That's a good question.
It's a good question. It's like, you pay 15 cents per, you got 43 running, that's $4 a day.
Yeah. Hey, Angina, is it?
Yes.
Is it possible that, say there's a increase of 5% to run them in the elementary building and middle school, those 4 buildings? If there's an increase of 5% because it's different from what it was, say, fall of 2019, could that cost be offset to pay that based on a COVID situation with COVID funds?
So how the COVID, I think I heard somebody speak about reimbursement. So it's not a reimbursement back. We're not submitting something to be reimbursed back for that. So we had that first round of COVID money that we used mainly for personnel expenses, and that freed up some general fund money. So initially, I think we were talking about just using general fund dollars. So it was from the use of how we budgeted the COVID money, but it actually making this purchase with general fund dollars. There's also, we've received other COVID money that's come in that these would also be an allowable expense under those funds. So we could use those funds to purchase this also. As far as the electrical, I think we'd have to probably isolate how much, electrical use, was used prior, is used now. That might be a little bit more challenging, but we could certainly write it into the plan, and then it'd be at the discretion of MDE to approve that.
I mean, honestly, if we use Dewey's numbers as a reference point, we're talking $20 a week to run these.
That's hard for me to believe.
Yeah.
That can't be real.
Well, it's a simple arithmetic equation, and we can put that together. And as a matter of fact, Gina and I have spoke about the added gas, natural gas that's going in into our schools, because we do have open windows during the winter. And being the energy manager, I'm freaking out about that. But fortunately, we've got software here where I can go in and I can do a baseline against current conditions, and I can come up with, I think, a pretty decent number by saying, look, we spent X amount of more dollars in January than we've done in the previous 5 years, and we can attribute that to the fact we've had to open up this building with open windows. And I think we can do the same if you want. We can put it together a spreadsheet with the electrical use. It's because we're going to be turning on the fans, the 2 fans that are in the classroom. You know, even though they're small, they're also going to be consuming electricity too. So I think if you put the laundry list together, it might be something that's, you know, maybe worthwhile to claim.
And they don't allow you to use that money to actually update your boiler system or?
That was, and Gina, can you share with some of those?
Yeah, so there is some, the first round of money, no, that was not allowed in the infrastructure, and anything like that could not be used. The second round of money, they have come out and have allowed some more leeway, and there is some guidance out there where you can do some things for air for your boilers, heaters, this, that. So yes, the second round of money that we've received, yes, could be used for that.
And is it feasible? This is probably a question for Dewey, Andrew, and Gina. Is it plausible? Is there enough money that you're talking about to actually update the air system, the forced air in those buildings?
Even the 2 elementaries, maybe the smaller.
I can answer that.
50,000 to 500,000.
It's like 350,000. It's close. It's like 340,000 or so. But when I had the conversation with David and Todd about those units, it was then 750,000. And I was saying, well, can't we just go ahead and put these units in, right? Like a permit for all the buildings. And they said, no, because you're looking at that cost plus another 1.2 million on top of that for installing them and then bringing in the electricity to run them. So we're like, okay, well, if that's the case, you know, what are these other buildings and what are they doing? They said, yeah, they're not talking about as many buildings as we are. Because I was talking about both the K2 buildings in Dunlop and the middle school. So 340,000, you could probably get one building to improve the HVAC system. But we're looking at more of a 1 point, I'm trying to remember what it was for the whole district. It's like 1.7 for doing all the buildings with air conditioning. So that's yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah, and I think they stressed that that's even if we were to vote on that today, that is probably 2 years away after it's becoming designed, or it has to be designed and drawn out and then built and then put in. So that's kind of on the horizon.
Question at hand.
Thank you, Dewey. Would anybody be against it if we're just talking shipping it from California? Would anybody, however we structure, what if we just got a hand on it?
Yeah.
We have one.
We have
Yes.
I got to go down. That's what Jimmy did the,
Oh, yeah,
it,
right.
it's in still.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's about the size of
Yeah, I think it would help if we saw it in real time,
Yeah.
heard how loud it is. I mean,
If we can bring that into the next week, I mean, like, we have 2 shifts coming break and we're off for week 2 break, so if there's any way you could bring that to, and I mean, like, I'm more of a, in my face, kind of like just to really see and feel, and my hands-on, kind of a learner, if you will. I mean, I don't know, I mean, what's it look at?
honestly, I would be more in favor of it sitting right there.
Yeah.
Have staff come down or
To bring it down.
it's gonna be in their class. Have some teachers come down and get some teachers input. I mean, it's not gonna be in my classroom.
Yeah, great point, great point.
So,
you mean,
I don't know if you put it in the classroom yet, you got,
Yeah,
one class works. It just gotta turn on. But if you're talking about turn it on.
I can't really hear Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the question is, because there's the example that the one unit that we have in the district that Dewey had, the question is, can we take it, put it in a classroom with students so that a teacher can say, hey, yeah, that's kind of loud, or yeah, when it's on number 4, I think I can teach. Or when it's on number 9, they go, oh man, no, this is just way too loud. That they're saying, because I actually have them in my office, maybe put them in one of the classrooms to get some feedback.
I mean, I feel like because we have like the time between now and the break, that would be a great opportunity for you to put it into, you know, 5, 6 different teachers, like put it in a 6th grade teacher, put it in a teacher who maybe teaches special, you know, like special ed, who has maybe more distraction from students who have more sensory issues, to put it into a couple different types of classrooms, just so we can get some input across 6 through 8, and then maybe if we could do that, or even elementary, if they don't like, it's not far.
I'm sorry.
No.
So if anybody correct me if I'm wrong, I think we're all on the same page of, I think this is a good idea if they're gonna be used. If they're gonna be used on 2, there's no point. We might as well open up a window and put a $2 box in the window.
Well, where I got the fans.
So,
That's right.
and Kevin, I guess I would turn to you, and, my suggestion right now is we have a training next Thursday, the 25th. We can use this as a meeting. It already is a meeting, so it's as of a training right now. Can we, between now and then, put these in a couple of classrooms, or maybe a lunch period, have some teachers walk in? Are you guys gonna use these things or not? Let's get some feedback from the teachers, and we will start our meeting on the 25th with this discussion. Can we,
And I
is that feasible?
I could actually send a board the comments that the teachers made about it even before that meeting.
Please.
No, so that
What I'm referring to is we can use this meeting to decide whether to go forward or not. If it's gonna take every bit of like a week and a half to 2 weeks to get here from California.
And so really, it's, if I can try to paraphrase, we're just delaying. But that would be if there's gonna be a vote to say we're gonna give it or not.
Yeah.
Because that training, she said, is about, what, 3.5 hours, Jackie?
Yeah, she said it takes about 3.5 hours.
So I'm sure that getting the information way out ahead of time to where
Yes.
you're able to say it's a yes or no, public comment from the teachers.
Yes, we shouldn't necessarily have, assuming we shouldn't necessarily have it. We're either gonna take the bullet to move it on.
Yeah.
And I'll,
And address it with Nate or.
and do it, go make sure to go to, so that we can get kind of a tape for elementary. Yeah, yeah,
That really good.
yeah.
Is that fair? Does that work for you, Dewey? Does that sound, let's get where they're gonna be at. Let's get the teachers' feedback.
Nope, I think that's yeah, no, I think that's an excellent idea. You're right. Are they going to use them? The bottom line. I'd hate to buy all these and 3 of them get used. So I will, I'll gather up some data and have that ready for you.
Awesome. And we'll get together, Dewey, so that we can kind of strategize, get a strategy together. So it's not like we have to hold around to every room. Some teachers might just walk in the room while there's already class and make comments about how loud it is or not.
I mean, I would think if we bought them for every room, they would have to be told that they need to be using them, just like the mask.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Yes, but at the same point in time, I think we want to be considerate.
I want their input.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Okay.
So at this point, thank you. I would go ahead and make the motion to table this until March 25th.
I'll second that.
And I don't see any hands. Abby, did you have something?
No, I'm good.
Sarah, if you would go ahead with a vote.
All right, I will start with Craig Corpola,
Aye.
Dana Wells Jenny,
Yes.
Jeff Wolfersberger,
Yes.
Tim Wood,
Yes.
Don Fortin,
Yes.
Abby Green,
Yes.
Sarah Jones is a yes.
Motion passes. This will be moved to March 25th. Uh, 5.05, superintendent calendar. We have brought up, I have brought to a meeting, requesting Kevin's calendar. There was some discussion back and forth on what we were going to use the calendar for. Abby has started a, Excel spreadsheet, explaining with Kevin, I think he's in the understanding, that and I am sure some want to see what Kevin's doing and see, you know, as far as the evaluation. Excuse me. But I reminded Kevin in talking with Abby, we will provide Kevin what we are going to use his schedule for when it comes to his evaluation. Kevin will not be surprised whatsoever. We will let him know what we are using his schedule for when it pertains to his evaluation.
Can I explain that calendar that I sent out a little
Please.
bit? So what the question was at the last discussion we had was what should be included on that calendar, because we don't all keep everything on our calendar. So Kevin wanted to make sure that the calendar that he was keeping for us had on it what we wanted. And those different evaluation lines had different suggestions for artifacts that could be kept to help us evaluate performance. So what I did is I went through each of the sections of the superintendent evaluation, and where it had artifacts related to calendar, I included that. And it's honestly been a couple weeks since I looked at that, but it's either a calendar item that we had used last year or a calendar item that we could potentially use this time. But if you guys had a chance to look at that, if you agree with it, or we could add some different calendar items or take off some other ones, but then Kevin could use that artifact list to know what items he needed to include on that calendar that he provided to us.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, I thought that was a great idea. And I refer back to what I said before is if I don't know the questions to ask. I know you guys referred back to the school board early 2020 asked you to attend X amount of extracurricular activities. Mm-hmm. So therefore, this is a prime example of I don't know how many extracurricular activities. I've got you on video at one. I don't know, so I don't know what to ask or suggest. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess is where I'm at here. You know, 4 of us are new to this, and I knew, and I would like to know what is in our busy, you know, superintendent schedule. So at this point, I'm just requesting to be able to see his schedule on a weekly basis. And as far as using his schedule to perform his evaluation, we will supply Kevin in well advance of what we're going to use that calendar for as evidence towards the evaluation.
Jeff, I think you and I are maybe saying it something a little different. So I just want to clarify what I think I heard you say is that, do you want him to supply the calendar he has now before we agree on the artifacts? Or do you want him, and see, I don't, I think that we need to agree on the artifacts first, personally. Because I think that without having that, I don't think seeing Kevin's weekly calendar is what it is that is going to give us the information we need to evaluate him on. And really, in my perspective, from his professional use of his time, that's really all we need to know is if he's meeting those performance criteria that we sent out for him. Other than that, I don't really have any need to see what he's been doing with his time or how he's prioritizing his time. So I just wanted to make that clear that you're asking for something a little different than what I was asking for.
Yes, I am, Abby. I'm not using this right now saying I'm going to use everything, and not strictly for, asking for this request is not strictly for his evaluation. I'm asking to see his schedule to know what our superintendent does without asking 50 million questions.
So you're asking, are you putting that in the form of a motion?
Not yet.
So
I'm in agreement with Abby.
So if I may, just, we want to state a calendar so that there's things on it which are evidence of what you're going to use to support my evaluation.
Yes, but like I said last week, we will provide you, we will fill out this form that Abby has started. We will fill this out as a board and return it and let you know exactly what we are going to use your calendar for.
Okay.
When it comes to your evaluation.
Right. So, but y'all haven't already created that.
Abby has started it, yes.
She started, but it's not already created.
It's not finished.
It's not finished.
I would make a motion that we ask Kevin to provide his calendar as soon as we've given him that finished list.
I would second that motion.
Motion made by Abby and seconded by Craig.
Abby, can you restate the motion just to make sure I'm understanding our ask?
Yes, I would ask Kevin to provide his calendar to the board in a format to share his calendar so we can see it. Let me just start over. I would make a motion that Kevin share a Google Calendar with the board that shows his activities that we've asked for on the superintendent evaluation artifacts list.
And just because I'm new to this, I guess this question is to Abby and Greg. Are we limiting ourselves? I mean, should we have just a bigger scope than, when you say what's on the list? Is there something we're missing that we should know? And again, it's because I'm new is what I'm asking.
Well, I think that if you look over the superintendent evaluation tool and think of everything that you need to evaluate him.
Okay.
And that's what you would want to put on the list of what you want him to keep on your calendar, on his calendar. If it's something that you don't need to evaluate him with, then it's really, so it's really not anything that he should have to keep, just because it's really difficult to keep every single thing on the calendar. And
Sure.
none of us
Let
do.
me ask it a different way. You went through the evaluation already.
Yeah.
Do you wish you had more documentation on a certain point, on a certain subject, or do you feel the schedule that you were provided last time answered all our questions?
I think that there are some calendar items that it would be helpful, and those are the ones that I actually put on that list. I think for a lot of the superintendent evaluation points, it's more about outcomes. It's more about, did he get it done and was it done well, rather than which days of the week did he do it on. So for me, some of those are different artifacts that would be more useful to me than a calendar for some of the evaluator items.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'm in agreement with that.
And I just want to say, I don't think we want to be where we're like in a hostile relationship with Kevin. So I'm hearing from him that it's a little uncomfortable for us to just demand his calendar without the reasons behind it. So we'll do our part. If we do our part and create this document, that will give him more trust in us, and we can, work in a.
And that's what I mean, that makes
Yeah.
it shorter self-information, but at the same time, like you said,
And we have discussed, and nothing behind Kevin's back,
Right.
we've discussed this. Kevin just basically wants to know what we want him to show. Again, his calendar does not show everything that he does. If we want to see that he's attending extracurricular activities, he will make sure when he does so, it's on his calendar. He just wants to know. And honestly, I'm totally fine with what Abby's saying. It has been a couple weeks and no, I haven't pulled it back up to add my, thoughts and stuff into it. I would just suggest or state that it is a work in progress, that we will always be adding to it because of the fact of, we don't necessarily know the questions to ask, when it comes to this, so, I mean, here, we're gonna start preparing for this, so I'm gonna have to pull up the, me personally, I'm gonna pull up the evaluation. Okay, what do I need to prove this, what do I, and so on. So, I would agree with Abby's motion. I would ask, or I would make a motion to amend it and say that this form is, ongoing, a work in progress, ongoing.
Can we, Jeff, just a question. Could we vote on the actual calendar itself? And then, I think I know what you're saying about the artifact list itself. It's kind of a different list. Could we do two separate things here? Would that be all right?
But how can we vote and say that that's how it's gonna be about making amending it, saying it's a work in progress?
So, I think my motion was just on the calendar itself, and I feel like that
When he starts giving the calendar.
Okay.
that we're also talking about the whole artifact list of the whole list. So the calendar is just one piece of that. I don't disagree with what Jeff's saying about the artifact list being a work in progress, but the calendar motion is kind of just a piece of that. Does that help?
Or Jeff, were you saying that you want to be able to request additional information on the calendar as we discover we need it?
Honestly, I think if there's something that's not on there that I have a question about, I think I'm well enough to send an email and get an answer.
Yeah, sure.
I just didn't want to bother with
50,000
questions, Yes, a lot of stuff that can be answered, just by Kevin's in the meeting.
Well, it's not
Kevin's in the meeting. Kevin's in the meeting.
If we need information, we haven't told them to include that. Now we're cutting the information we get, so.
Correct. Again, I think we're all in agreement, it's a work in progress. I would like to see what our superintendent is, is doing. I'm not trying to micromanage, I'm not trying anything else. I would like to see what our superintendent is doing. That's
So what's the motion on the floor?
I believe it's your motion, because I didn't get a second, so.
I'll second yours, Jeff.
So could you restate your amendment, Jeff?
To include in your motion that this document that will be submitted to Kevin requesting what we would like to see on his schedule will be ongoing.
So you have a second, so is it open for discussion?
Correct.
So one of the things that the MASB trainer on the evaluation tool shared with us is that one of the things you do when you set goals is to establish right up front how that goal is going to be measured. And I guess I'm not disagreeing with that this is ongoing because we're all learning, but I guess I'd like to understand if we add something on that artifact list, let's say in September, whether we're just holding him to that from September forward, not backwards. Is that my understanding?
That's how I would understand it. It's a basic working document. When you add something, then you start, and where I work, when you add something, you only start getting, graded on or judged or, you're.
Evaluated.
So if we don't tell them what's been set now, we don't tell them until June, then come June, going forward, that's when we want that added. Not, hey, we want this added in June, and you haven't done it for the last 6 months. So that's.
I'm going to speak for you, Doug. I think that's exactly what you said.
That's what I want.
I want you to attend 8 extracurricular activities. Why haven't you done it already?
Right.
Well, sir, I didn't know about it.
Yeah. So that's my understanding of a working document. I mean.
So as far as the setting the goals, whenever we add something to that artifact, will it change the goal?
Will it change the goal?
Right. So we've already set his goals. If we add something new that we want him to keep track of, are we actually changing the goal?
No, because the goals that have been set so far has to do with our strategic plan.
Right.
That's the district strategic plan.
I just still really think that.
You don't base the whole superintendent evaluation off of the strategic plan.
So when I'm evaluated, my goals are set and my targets are set at the beginning of the year. And then I'm evaluated on those at the end of the year. So I guess as long as we are not changing any of the outcomes that we expect, then I understand what you're saying, but it is not the way that it's recommended that we do it, is all.
Well, I can also say I did talk to a member of the MASB about this situation because we want to build a good team, and work together. And they said that if you're in the process of building trust, there really shouldn't be an issue with sharing something like that. And
Right.
with 4 new board members, I think that's part of what this is. I don't think it's to track or to,
Right.
I think that they also need some understanding of the day-to-day responsibilities of a superintendent. Just because you get elected to serve on a school board doesn't mean you know the jobs of everyone. I know when I first came on the board, it's like, well, what's this person do? Well, how many bus drivers do we have? Like, there was information I was curious about, not because I wanted to direct the day-to-day operations, but I needed the understanding to do my job and my recommendations or voting or any of that as a board member. So
Sure.
when I talked to the MASP, they kind of said, if you're in a situation where you're trying to build some trust, it really shouldn't, it's not something that's too much to ask for.
And I'll just share, my conversation with the MASA was more along the same lines of you write the goals from the beginning. And if you don't have a calendar that's a part of those goals and what is on the calendar, then what becomes an open book is I can share my calendar and then you look at it and go, holy crap, holy moly, you're working with Outback College and you're doing a teacher pathway and you're meeting with them every other Thursday and you're doing, well, that's not anywhere else a part of. But since we know it's going to be beneficial for Pennfield, let's make that a part of something we want to see continue. But it wasn't a part of the goals that were written from the beginning. So what Abby is sharing is that knowing that this is what you're evaluating on from the beginning, just like we do with teachers, that is where that trust comes in. That, yeah, I hope Kevin's doing more than what is actually laid out that he needs to do. It becomes more of, well, is there more? Or can we just stipulate what it is and then see the calendar and go, okay, well, those things are gonna be showing up on the calendar, but this thing is there. What do I have that marked in red? Because it's hot, because it's the idea that I'm meeting with certain students, and I'm making it a point to go to the building. Well, why is that green? Because it's curricular wise. Those color-coded things I can explain. But the question is not about no one had a problem with it. No, they don't, because they already know that the goals that are written, that those things that say you want to see, they're in there. And all the extra things could become an additional thing that we want to see and complete. Instead of, yeah, I didn't realize he was doing that, and that work is helping us in that area. It becomes, yes, a question of trust that the calendar that previous members have already seen. Now it's the question that the evidence is all on the calendar. I have no problem with sharing the calendar. I have no problem at all. But to add something after the fact, then it becomes questionable. And I tell you, as far as whichever way the board wants to go, we still get the calendar. We still get the calendar. But if there yes, go ahead, Lynn.
Can I just try one more time? I think that might be like kind of what we're all trying to say. I might be missing it, but I think that if we start out with saying Kevin's going to share his calendar, it's going to have everything on it. What we're going to be looking for are these certain things that are on the artifact list right now. Maybe as we look at the calendar, we'll find something else that we say, you know what, this fits this goal really well, and then we can bring that item back and ask Kevin and ask the whole board if he's in agreement that would also be a good artifact for a particular goal. I think that's what you're saying, Jeff, is you might find other things. And I think as long as we're not using that to establish a new goal, but rather using it as an artifact to say, here, he accomplished this goal because of that new information. Is that kind of what you're saying, Jeff?
Yeah, so, I mean, in all honesty, I'm sitting here, it goes back to January where I reached out to, I believe, both of you and asked, where do we set the superintendent's goals? I talked to MSP, and the norm of setting superintendent goals is based off the district strategic plan. I said, okay, so where do we say, I'm gonna bring up the example again, because it's one of the first examples I've heard from the board as a board member, was you guys asked Kevin to attend 8 extracurricular activities. So I specifically asked, where do we come in as a board and say, Kevin, we want you to attend 8 extracurricular activities. Kevin, we would like you to visit North Penn once a week. Kevin, we would like you to visit Purdy at least once a week, Dunlap, et cetera, et cetera. Kevin, we would like you to continue with your teacher talks once a month, once every 3 months, whatever. Where do we do that at? And everyone referred to superintendent expectations. Do not do them in the superintendent's goals, because those are based off the strategic plan. You do them in the superintendent expectations. So that's where we're getting off of the goals are set on the strategic plan. No, we cannot set goals. We're already into March. I do not expect anybody to set an unrealistic goal as of right now, or a student or a superintendent expectation as of now, specifically stating that you're going to be evaluated on it. I mean, that's monotonous.
Yeah.
To do your form and explain, okay, Kevin, well, I know you're meeting with all of that because we see the Angina's payroll or check stubs. You know, I know that because it's through there. Yes, I could have asked, but it's got, Kevin attends Western Michigan University on this.
So more as an information tool.
More as an information tool than anything, and I can sit there
Without having to email and.
I can sit and look at the evaluation and say, okay, first column, this is what I would like to see or use to evaluate that specific and make a list, and then we'll bring it back in a board meeting and say, Kevin, this is what we're gonna use your calendar for.
And that is exactly what we're supposed to do at the beginning of the evaluation period, and we just weren't ready for that, to be able to do that. And I think we're just starting on that now, and that's the problem. We're partway through the year. So I think that we should maybe plan to do that at the mid-year evaluation, is really settle on that artifact list once we have a chance to have a shared calendar to look at. Once we have a chance to look at the, you actually go through it once, in June, it might be a good time to practice doing that.
I would also add, I'm sorry, Abby. I would also add that at this point in June, since we got kind of a slow start, that it would be in June, perhaps, that Kevin would also say, I would like to add some additional artifacts at this time too, if that's what he's interested in doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that could be a two-way street. That we want to make sure that we want to give him an opportunity to provide other data that he thinks is important.
So, Jeff, I would be interested if you would be willing to change your amendment to say it would be a, did you call it an ongoing or evolving?
Working document.
A working document until the mid-year evaluation. And then settle on something that we would all be happy living with until the next evaluation period.
I would second that.
Would you be willing to change your amendment, Jeff, to that?
That's fine. Can you restate it so that it's just simple, what we're asking for and when? It shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's like.
It's like a calendar.
Let me try to restate it all together, and then it will just be a friendly amendment, and you won't have to vote on it. That'd be all right?
I think with all the discussion so far, we should vote on it, just to have a definite answer, so everybody knows the expectations. It's just easier to move forward.
So you want me to restate it?
Please.
Jeff's amendment. So I think that Jeff's amendment was to use, can you say?
I thought you meant your motion. My amendment would be what we're actually using his calendar for when it pertains to his evaluation. That's not all we're gonna use it for. I'm gonna use it to look at it. When it comes to his evaluation, the evidence from his calendar, we will request through the document that you have started. And it will be a working document. It is to my understanding that in June, we need to start submitting the request for him anyhow, so he starts preparing his evidence for us. So when we do his evaluation or start the evaluation process, we give Kevin plenty of time anyhow. So I don't understand the time frame by any means.
I didn't realize that you were not just talking about the evaluation tool, using the calendar for the evaluation tool.
I am asking to see the calendar to know what our one employee does. That's the number one reason why I have brought this up, to see what our one employee does. Now we can look at it and we can start, okay, Kevin, as far as communications with him, and I'm drawing something out of my top of my head. As far as your communications with administration, okay? Looks like you have that on your calendar. I'm just letting you know that I'm going to use that to make the best of my ability. I'm going to use that on the evaluation that's what I'm referring to in the long run. We will not use his calendar whatsoever towards his evaluation without proper representation, such as your document. There will be no surprises whatsoever. I am asking, in this original request, I am asking for Kevin to provide his calendar on a weekly basis to all 7 board members.
So,
Can
If I
I
may-
just,
okay.
that's a completely different, motion than what my original motion was, so it's not really an amendment. So
I
I don't
agree with
know
that.
exactly what protocol is about that, but it's completely different than what I was making a motion about.
And I think we should go to the point of order then that we vote on Abby's motion, and then we move on to Jeff's suggestion after that.
I do think we have to vote on the amendment that was made
You have
and
to vote on the
seconded
amendment
first.
first.
though.
Can you say your amendment, Jeff?
So then-
Actually, could Abby say her motion and then Jeff say the amendment, please?
Abby, would you repeat your motion, please?
My motion was that we use the artifact list that that I started to as the things that we are asking Kevin to supply to us on his calendar, and that we use that tool for the evaluation for the artifact.
And my amendment was knowing that this tool, this form artifact that you are creating is an ongoing form. It's not going to be supplied one time, and we're going to be able to add on to it as we go.
I thought I heard you say that you wanted to have the whole calendar all the time regardless, that you were going to use it for other purposes.
I'm repeating my amendment right now.
Okay,
With your motion, I am attempting to amend your motion.
okay. So in your amendment, it isn't talking about using it for other purposes, just for the evaluation.
Correct, because your motion did not describe that. So I'm amending your original motion. Any other discussion on my amendment? This is an ongoing worksheet. Sarah, if you'd like to take a vote on the amendment only.
Okay, Dana,
This is for Jeff, yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Abby,
No,
Sarah, yes. Craig,
No.
Thank you. Now to the original motion of this document will be filled out and supplied to Kevin, and that's the information that will be on his calendar that he provides to us. The information that he provides to us. So we will not see his entire calendar. We will see the information that we are requesting is the information that he is giving us. Is there any other discussion on the original motion?
so I think the original motion has to be stated with the amendment in it.
That is correct, Abby.
So I guess I need help hearing that again.
Go ahead and read your initial motion, and I will add on the amendment that just passed then.
Jackie, do you have that written down at all?
So what I have is your motion is that we're going to share a Google Calendar that shows activities asked for with superintendent artifacts. And from what I gathered, Jeff's is requesting that this will be an ongoing event of the sharing.
Is that right, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. I make that motion then. Thank you.
You already did. It was already seconded by Craig.
Thank
Any
you.
other discussion on this motion? Sarah, if you'd like to go ahead and take a
okay,
vote.
I'll start with you, Jeff.
No.
Tim,
No.
Dawn,
No.
Abby,
No.
Sarah, no. Craig,
Yes.
Dana,
No.
Motion does not pass. Therefore, the amendment will not go neither. I would like to make a motion. Starting this Friday, I would like to see Kevin's calendar supplied, full calendar supplied to the board. Ongoing with that, we will work on Abby's document that she has already started. At no point in time will you be surprised whatsoever when it comes to using your calendar as far as your evaluation. We will inform you ahead of time. And don't quote me on the dates, but I believe it's June. We have to supply you with the information that we're requesting when it comes to your evaluation.
So it's like taking a calendar to give you an idea of what it is I do. So then you come in June to say, okay, now that we've seen what you've been doing on your calendar, now we want to say, here's the artifacts that we'd like to see in November.
What we're going to use your calendar for, yes.
Okay.
So I can see, and I'm assuming we can get this done way quicker.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just giving that, I know we have to put our request in
Right.
to you by a certain date. I'm just saying. Meanwhile, we're gonna finish this document. I will work with Abby and hopefully we can all work together and have it done probably by the end of the week. We'll get our input on there on what certain things that we would like to see, make sure that's on your calendar. Okay, I would like to know what our one employee does. I know you work your butt off, sir, and I think it would be far more beneficial than anything purple by any means.
I'll second that motion.
I have a second. That was a big motion. Any discussion on that motion?
Jackie, did you get that down into a motion format?
Would you like me to?
All I got is that Jeff, starting this Friday, that the full calendar would be submitted to the board, and there would be a continuation with the superintendent artifacts for evaluation. I didn't include all of that in between, but
You got it.
Yeah, that's it.
You got it.
Jeff, did you have a deadline in there? We would have artifacts back to Kevin by? That's the only other thing I wondered that you.
No, because we need to work together to finish that.
Okay, I heard something about June, so I wasn't sure if that was a timeline that you were asking.
I was again referring to our future as far as working on the evaluation. Right now, this has absolutely nothing to do with this evaluation.
Okay, thank you.
When it comes to that, we will get your document done. Any discussion on this motion? It was seconded by Dana. No other discussion?
I do have a few points I'd like to make. This is
Yes,
really walking down a road of asking questions of Kevin about the way that he lays out his calendar. Is it too specific? Is it not specific enough? I think you're now asking that anybody on the board is going to be peppering Kevin with questions when, in fact, for instance, he may need head time where he just has to think. And how is he going to mark that? Is he daydreaming about COVID going away? What exactly is he doing? And I think
I don't think that anyone on the board.
Wait, I'd like to complete my point, please. I'd like to complete my point. This is really asking for a lot of extra time being put into a document that this is this man's working product. And once we come up with those artifacts, I think that should be all we're looking for.
again, Craig, I totally understand what you're saying. I'm not looking for anything. I'm not, if I was looking for something in particular, I would just ask the question. I would like to see what our one employee that we're in charge of, what does he do on a daily basis? Tim's referred to several times of his car still being in the parking lot at 7 o'clock at night. I'm well aware of that. You know, we're getting text messages on Saturday, we're getting emails and text messages on Sunday. I'm well aware this man works his butt off. I'm asking as a new board member and a new president of this board to be able to see our superintendent's calendar. That's it.
So we have to take a vote.
Finishing the discussion. Abby, or do you have anything, or your speaker's off?
No, I'm waiting for the vote. I just think that I understand exactly what you're saying, Jeff. I think that it might and it might not give you the information you need depending on what he keeps on his calendar. We don't know what that is. Doesn't necessarily mean what he's doing is going to be there, but that's my only point.
And exactly what was stated earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin has already said, and I'm perfectly in the understanding that not everything is going to be on there. But
Right.
I don't know the questions to ask if I don't know the questions to ask. If I can't see that Kevin has not been to North Penn in 3 weeks, that's what I'm getting at.
Well, I understand, and I just think if our expectation is that he be at North Penn in 3 weeks, then we should be asking him to put that on his calendar. I think that we're both saying the same thing from a different direction, so it's okay.
Exactly. I don't know to ask him if he's been to North Penn in 3 weeks if I don't know that he's been to North Penn in 3 weeks. This isn't harmful by any means. I mean, this is.
Okay.
We've done, I think Kevin can, over the last 2 months, Kevin and I have built our relationship up quite a bit in truth and honesty and trust between the two of us. This is not harmful by any means, guys. I would like to know what our one employee does. That's all.
But are you looking for him to put everything on there? So you just like mentioned then, he might text us a COVID case on a Saturday. That wasn't probably in his plan for the day. Are you expecting him then to go back in his calendar and write texted board about COVID case? Okay.
I think it's more, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, appointments, set set agenda items. I mean, like, it's nothing that my boss doesn't see in mine. He like, my Google calendar, he sees everything that I am not thinking my follow. I mean, I don't think it's anything, we're asking anything that's.
I'm just confused because you're like looking for him to have his expectation of his day, which might be his 9 to 5, but you're saying you see his car in the parking lot till 7. Well, chances are probably everything he did after 4 o'clock wasn't what he planned to do that day. It's the extra. So if you're looking to see the extra, does he have to go back in and put that in, or how are we monitoring that?
I would say it would be kind of like a teacher's planning that they have to turn in. Now, that doesn't say I wiped Johnny's nose and escorted Isabel to the bathroom, but it does show a planning, so that's what I would it's an information tool.
Yeah.
So, Dawn, I think you're doing a really good job right now of starting to set some expectation of what should be in the calendar. And I think we don't know how Kevin keeps his calendar yet, so there might be none of that in there. Can't expect him to have anything in his calendar at this point.
Right.
See what it looks like.
That's why I'm calling it like an information tool for the board. For when you have a brand new board, I haven't even served on this board that long, Abby. It just provides some understanding, and I think that it could be very beneficial.
I think it'll be very beneficial when we actually tell him what we want him to put in it. But it might be empty right now.
Tell me what to put in it.
Yeah.
I
just
mean,
think it might be
unless
empty
we're
right
going to evaluate him, I don't think it's our place to tell him how to schedule his day.
So again, I touched on this before, this isn't just me going off on whim either. I spoke with legal counsel at MASB, I've spoke with, our attorney at Troon. I mean, this is a part of, board superintendent relations, communications. I mean, this fits so many criteria, it's absolutely insane. We have a new superintendent. We have 4 brand new board members. I mean, this just, we're, last month, we're talking about, all the questions that board members are asking. I'm sure a lot of this can answer some of them questions without even having to send an email. I mean, this is all just building the transparency and building the relationship between the 8 of us is all it's doing. Again, we're speculating without needing to be speculated. If I have a question, or if you have a question, then that's where we use our email like we always have been, and we ask a question. But if I don't know the question to ask, if I can't see, I knew Kevin was doing something with Olivet. We briefly spoke about it. He just went into more detail right there than I ever even knew about. Oh, our superintendent's working with Olivet. I mean, that'd be good information to know.
I'm not disagreeing with any of you on any of your points. I just want to make that clear that I'm not disagreeing that it's not good information to know. I just think we're getting our steps out of order is all. That's all. That's my only point.
And it's hard for me to fill out your deal without sitting here and looking at the evaluation, seeing what's on the calendar and saying, Kevin, we need to fill this in. We need to fill this area in. What do you want to do? Is it something calendar wise? Is it something you need to, pull us information wise?
I think if we sat down with the evaluation tool and looked at that, I think we could fill that in from there with what we have.
Yes, so when it comes to using his calendar towards the evaluation, we will supply Kevin with all the information that he needs on what we're going to use from his calendar. Meanwhile, I would like to see it.
So point of order, we have a motion and a second.
Thank you.
We'll take a vote.
Any other discussion? Sarah, if you would take a vote, please.
Okay, starting with Tim. Dawn,
Yes.
Abby,
No.
Sarah, no. Craig,
Nay.
Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on. We'll go right over. 5.06. I would like to make a motion to go into closed session to discuss real property acquisition. Second. Tim seconds. Sarah, if you guys take a vote, please.
sure. Dawn,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Craig,
Yes.
Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim.
Yes.
So everybody that's online, I had sent you another link to go into that link. So Abby and Craig.
Are we all in private now? Oh. Wow. I think that's all. That's one. All right, welcome back. We don't have Craig.
I think he was still back in that other meeting.
I'll zip over there.
Thank you, Jackie.
He's on his way back over.
Thank you. There he is. All right, welcome back. We're back in open session. Just returning from close. At this point, I would like to make a motion to assign Chip Springer to represent Pennfield School District on the possibility of purchasing acquisition acquisitioning property. Get the wording correct.
I second that.
Second from Tim. Any other discussion? Sarah, if you would, please.
Okay, I'll start. Sarah is yes. Craig?
Aye.
Dana?
Yes.
Jeff?
Aye.
Tim?
Yes.
Dawn? Yes.
Abby?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. Motion passes. 5.07. You pulled from the consent agenda, approve committee of the whole board minutes from 2/8/2021. Dan, would you please explain?
I don't like the wording, and maybe in the exact area. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up. I apologize.
Was that the minutes from 8 or 15?
Yes, from 8. I don't like in the board comments, during the situation we had before, I don't like how it says in 5.01 that Kevin Simmons apologizes to Jeff Wolfersberger for comments made during the board meeting, and then you go down and it says that Jeff Wolfersberger apologized for being unprofessional. I just don't like wording that. I feel like it puts all of, and I'm not playing games here, but I feel like it just puts Jeff in a negative light, and it doesn't give equal ownership to the situation that I'm looking for. Thank you. So I would like that wording changed. I don't like the word unprofessional. Just say apologized. They both apologized to each other. So I don't like the way it's worded. I think it makes Jeff.
I think she typed it that way because that was the word that Jeff used when he said it. And so Jackie types, I compare my notes and what I wrote and everything. I think those were his exact words, is why it was. I just am wondering if if it's a little thing like that, Jackie and I work together and it's not a big deal. Do we have to come to a meeting to change it, or can something be said to Jackie and I so we can just like make that change before it comes to the consent agenda?
Yeah.
So my word. So my word.
Go ahead. Well, once the secretary posts it to board docs, I think if someone read it far enough in advance and there was a correction or an error, you could pull it and redo it and repost it. But once it's on board docs, usually in the past, we've always had to make the correction at the meeting on the agenda. But for sure, if it's some kind of mistake or something, we always try to tell you about it. But in the past, it's had to be corrected at this point, once it's posted.
Okay.
I think that I would be comfortable with Jeff and Kevin suggesting language that they're comfortable with, those two, since it's actually referring to the two of them. I would be. I think that would be
I would say taking the unprofessional off.
And just say apologize.
Yeah. Not to apologize.
Okay.
I mean, let Jeff think.
No, I mean, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
You have second.
Do these just expected to get that taken out?
Oh, yeah, you still have to vote.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a change, because it's a change, it still has to be voted on, right?
right.
So we got the word unprofessional from the under 6.03 on board comments in the minutes from 2/8/21. I motion to take out the word unprofessional under what Jeff said. Please.
I second that.
Any further discussion?
I have to thank Sarah and Jackie for the accuracy, and I do appreciate the fact that Jeff and Kevin worked that through, and as well as they did tonight. So thank you.
Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg.
Anyone else? Sarah, if you would, please.
Okay, Craig,
Aye.
Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
Sarah is a yes.
And so now I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes as presented, as corrected.
Yes.
Oh, okay, so we still have to approve it. Okay, got it.
So I would make a motion to approve.
Oh, Abby just did.
Okay, so I'll second
I
that.
second that.
One step ahead of me. Any discussion on the rest of the provided minutes from 2/8/21? Sarah, if you would, please.
Okay, Dana,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
Dawn,
Yes.
Abby,
Yes.
Sarah, yes. Tim, oh, you already did it. Never mind.
Great.
Got it. Craig,
Aye. Aye.
okay.
Motion passes to approve the minutes as adjusted. Okay, moving on, 6.01, we are in administrative reports. Kevin, do you have anything you'd like to go through any of these, or?
Actually, there's just a note that have an opportunity to read through those, that they do make some points that you see some of the same notes that are coming out in the newsletters. So that they're good reports. The opportunity to read through.
Yes, absolutely. So I was gonna touch on the same thing. So some numbers that we've been asking, some physical numbers on, instead of percentages of in-person, virtual, passing one class, failing. Jerry's report, some of all that is in most of these on actual numbers that we have asked for. The athletic reports, get it pull up real quick. Yeah, it took me forever earlier too. So I'll touch on some things in word comments. Safety, I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that. Very few instances really since we've been back in person.
Yeah.
I think there's 10 or 12 total between all 5 buildings.
Correct.
So, job well done there. So if nobody's got anything, we have the attachments. We will go ahead and move on then. 7.01, comments from the public. Did we have our visitor return? Okay. I thank you. Okay, we'll go on to 8.01, superintendent comments.
Yeah, I would just, I could add that the state has created and passed some bills that have added to the, what we call the ESPER funds, and that has been shared with those allocations we kind of talked about tonight. But we take those and use every opportunity we can to help support students academically. But we start with the social and emotional learning that they are needing coming through the situation that we're in. So a lot of those funds are being utilized in trying to even hire professionals, starting more so in the elementary level. So we're trying to add some more balance. So there's, it's not like it's over. There's still going to be that need. And so I want to make sure that the board knew and that we share with the community, that we are not saying it's all over, but that we're still supporting. And we're utilizing those funds for that.
Can I ask a quick question with that then? I read through the reports and I saw that the secondary teachers did the trauma-informed training, but the elementary hasn't yet. Is there a plan? Are they gonna do that one as well?
Well, I'm gonna have to speak with Trevor, because I think most of them have already had the training.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, but not all, because we do have to be teachers.
right. It's good stuff.
Yes, it is. It really is. Like first aid. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm just looking over your attachment. 9.01, board comments. Anyone have anything?
Kevin, I haven't seen come home the paper newsletters. I haven't gotten one of those in a long time.
Yes, we have one that's coming out in the, gosh, I think the next couple of weeks, so right before spring break. Jackie, if I may ask, when is the next newsletter is scheduled to come out?
It should be arriving before spring break.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
I just think that's another great way to communicate to specifically the older population in the community. I know that, we've got a lot of older population and love to see pictures of kids and stuff like that.
Now that was stopped for a while, wasn't it?
Yes, during COVID.
Oh,
Yes.
Anyone have anything else? And everyone looks at me. So first, as we approved earlier in the consent agenda, we'd like to welcome Michelle Human, our intern transportation director. So welcome, Michelle. She's been here for quite a while, already a district employee, and she is stepping up to help fill a need down there in the transportation department. So Michelle, thank you very much for coming aboard and helping with this position. Couple things I want to add in Kevin's attachment to board members is there's some good numbers in there. If you guys scroll down, I think it's on the second page. Student population, number of classes taken on where we're at. Kevin also touched us in here that we have already started the process of figuring out what summer school is going to look like, building air conditioning all the way down to that stuff. So I'm going to assume we're probably going to put that probably on the committee of the whole for April and finish discussing. As I've already touched on, the high school has already got 2 days. I think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays right after school. They're working with students, willing and able to stay after on those days. And I'm not, specific on the middle school or not, but again, I want to thank everyone for reaching out to those students. Jerry, Trevor, reaching out to those virtual students that we haven't heard from. I got to applaud you guys. We're getting in at 97, 98%. And we haven't seen that. So thank you guys for making the valid attempt to reach out to our students that we haven't heard from in a minute. Another thing, I'd like to congratulate our athletic director, Mr. Steele. Mr. Steele just got a award from Maya. He has been a superintendent for 20 years, which is
AD.
Athletic director, you just said superintendent.
Which is a very high accomplishment. You don't see very many ADs, going strong for ball. So, congratulations, Mr. Steele. Very big boys basketball game tomorrow night. I would encourage anyone that can find a ticket, they can get a ticket to come to tomorrow night. We got some special stuff going on. That'll be fun. Thursday is senior night for the girls basketball. Friday will be senior night for the boys basketball. And last but not least, I would like to thank the Fortin family. I would like to thank Schweitzer Construction, McGonigal's Deli, McGonigal's Bar and Grill, Learning Zone Preschool and Child Care, and Next Generation Lawn Care, along with our board members. I am happy to announce that in collaboration with our sponsors that are helping us out and our board members alike, we are offering the last day of school, June 4th. We would like to provide a lunch. It's a half day. We would like to provide a lunch to the entire staff of Pennfield. We will have hot hamburgers. We have hot dogs. We'll have some sides. Probably go down the football field or the track or something like that. We got some grills. We've got other community members, parents willing to bring some grills and help us out. Last day of school, we'd like to invite all of our staff, all of Pennfield staff, to come out, hang out for a little bit, and have a bite to eat. So this is part of our thank you again to all of our awesome Pennfield staff. So with that being said, if nobody has anything, I would like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting. Dana seconds it. Thank you, everyone, and we will see you next Thursday.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.